This morning we're working through shaking the bees down into the bottom box, getting that queen down, getting these honey boxes ready and getting these hives supered up. There is a honey flow coming into this yard and it's quite pronounced. We're not shaking nectar yet this morning, but there is a substantial amount of honey in these boxes, so it's coming from somewhere, and that's quite encouraging. We have hit the honey flow quite hard. We just need some calm days to be able to get some active foraging going on. Boy, a rain would be a treat right now too. Can you imagine the honey flow after a rain? So I'm looking to where this honey flow is coming from right now, and all my attention is directed towards our pasture here. What has happened here, as I've talked about in previous years, is this is some of our grain land that's converted down to pasture to be able to expand our pasture acreage to feed our cattle. And while we were doing that, while we were sowing down the grasses, I went and sprinkled a little bit of sweet clover in. I sprinkled in white and yellow. The reason why I grew both is because yellow blooms right now and then white will bloom later on in July, so I have a real nice drawn out staggered flow of clover within my pasture. And this is kind of what I want to see in most all of my pastures around, and this is kind of what I want to see in all this used grassland that we do pasture our cattle with. It's just incorporating a little bit of that natural flower that not only benefits the bees, but it benefits the actual stand of grass. Look at just a sprinkling of clover through here, just coming out into bloom, and these bees are going bonkers over it. So what happens, what my strategy here is, just by providing a little bit of clover growth throughout this grass stand, as this clover is going to grow. It's a biannual, so it takes 2 years for it to hit flower. So it does take, a little bit of prep and planning to get it naturally set down into a cycle. It's going to grow, it's going to add nutrients to the soil very naturally, which is really good for the grass. It gives the grass nitrogen to grow. So the clover complements the grass. And what we're going to do is, the cattle aren't in this paddock right now, as you can see with the grass growth we have. But when we bring the cattle in, cattle are going to come, focus on the grasses, chew down the grasses, then they come and literally suck the flowers off these little clover plants, which kind of ends the flow here. But what then happens is this plant will rejuvenate after a rain and kind of reestablish its flowering growth and provide my bees with another flow of nectar and pollen. So I have a steady flow of fresh young flowers throughout the entire summer, which provides my bees with absolutely everything they need. Not only does it bring in nectar and complement my crop, but it provides that precious pollen to be able to provide that access to those nutrients they need to be able to develop out their nests. So important. And that's what it's all about, is just finding places to be able to put flowers, especially when the flowers can nicely complement the rest of the management that's going on. So then not only do my hives thrive, but the pasture also thrives. Provides a little bit of diversity within the diet of the cattle, and it adds so much soil structure and nutrition to that soil. It's just an overall win, 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 win for everybody and everything within the area. So those are just a little simple acts, just a little effort that we need to put in to be able to provide that diversity to allow everything to thrive. That's my focus. Let's make them thrive.